Good afternoon, parents. Welcome to our phonics webinar where Miss Zoe, our Year 1 leader, will be talking to you about how you can support your child's learning using phonics at home. It is a really important thing to understand for many of us who would have grown up in systems where we didn't use phonics. We maybe used whole language acquisition rather than phonics. It will be something that's very unfamiliar for us. And so us providing these webinars is designed to help strengthen the parent-school bond so that we can help you support your child's learning. So I am delighted to welcome Miss Zoe. She is our new Year 1 leader this year. She is doing an amazing job and I'm sure she will be able to give you lots of helpful tips in order to help your child at home. So Miss Zoe, are you there?
I am here. Thank you very much, Mr. Rothwell.
So Miss Zoe, I believe you have a presentation that you want to share with us.
Yeah, I will just share that now. Okay, I hope you're all well. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what phonics looks like in Year 1. It is very, very similar to those who have already been at the school when your child was in FS2. So we're just acting on top of that, what you already know previously. So we will continue in Year 1 to learn graphemes and phonemes that they have already learned in FS2, okay? And we are developing that further. So at Victory Heights, we follow the phonics program called KTC. And again, this goes throughout the school from FS1 all the way to Year 2 that they follow this program. We do work alongside letters and sounds as well as this program. Okay, so here's just some vocabulary that you may be aware of, just to help you understand what is taught in phonics. So, for example, a phoneme, okay, is a sound, and this is more about the FS1, FS2 children, and that's that individual sound where the children do a lot of segmenting and blending. So, what we mean by that is k, at, cat is the individual letters. We then move on to look at graphemes, okay? And graphemes are 2 letters that represent that sound. So, for example, here you can see we've got sock. Sock, the k is our grapheme. And I've just used some of these words, segmenting and blending, a lot there, okay? And again, it's pushing all of those sounds, those graphemes together to spell the word. And we do try and encourage the children to be using what we call robot arms. And this just helps them to break up the words when they are reading. So for example, we would do the segmenting would be sh, ip. And then the blending would be pushing those sounds together, and then that word would be ship. So ship, ship. Okay, so how is phonics taught in school? They have a 20-minute phonics lesson a day. So every class will be doing the phonics lesson once a day. And we do that normally in the morning, okay? As soon as they come in, the children will do basic skills, and then we move on to do phonics. Okay, and we try and teach phonics as fun and as exciting as possible. We do lots of reading in those lessons. We do the writing in those lessons. Not only that, are they having those taught lessons of phonics within the classroom in year 1, there will be opportunities for them to use their phonics skills. So, for example, we may have a reading table, a phonics table in the classroom where they are asked to use the skills that they know in an activity. So, for example, one might be they have words on the table where they have to sort them under the correct sound. Okay, and then they may be asked to write those. So the phonics is always taught throughout the day to the children. So you may know through the phonics program, or you may not. So it starts with phase 1, which is normally taught in FS1. The children will then move through the different phases. So from phase 1, they then go on to phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, and then when they get into year 2, they're on phase 6. So most children will be now either on phase 3 or phase 4. But don't worry if your child is still on phase 2, okay? It's not a problem. The class teachers will be working with the children on the phase that is suitable for them. And I know we've had it come up a few times with us being in the bubbles. It is more difficult for us to differentiate as a whole year group, but that differentiation is taking place within the classroom. Okay, so some children will be now on phase 3, okay, and here they have 25 new graphemes to use. Now, the phase 3 is more difficult, and what we are finding is that children know the phase 3 sounds really, really well, but when it then comes to using them within their writing, that's when they need a little bit more support. So what we would love from you at home is to, yes, go over the sounds with them, but also be practicing putting them into words. So for example, if you gave them the word rain, do they know that what the A sound looks like when they are writing the word A? Okay, and I've just put a little bit of an activity that you could do at home with the children on the slide, and I will be sending this out after the presentation so you can have a little read through it on your own at home. So once they finish phase 3, they do move on to phase 4. And yes, phase 4, they are not learning any new graphemes. Okay, so they are learning no new sounds. However, the phase 3 sounds will be used within words when we are teaching the phase 4 stage. Okay, so as you can see, your children will learn how to read CVCC words. Okay, but it will still have that phase 3 sound in, and that is why it is so important that you are still continuing to work on phase 3. Yes, we do want to move the children on through the phases, but we have still got to be working on the previous phases as they still come up. And again, I've just put some activities on here that you could be doing at home with the children, reading lots with them, playing silly sentence games with them, splat games. So for example, here we've got 3 words. You've got smell, trash, growl. You may have a fly, splat, and you may say, can you splat the word with the sh sound in? And then your child will have to find that word with the sh sound in and splat it. And this can be done with any words, and it can be done with all the different phases. So when they finish phase 4, they move on to phase 5. Now, phase 4 is very short. It is only about 4 weeks long, okay? So they will move on to phase 5 in year 1. And this is when it gets a little bit more complicated for the children, because they are learning new graphemes that sound the same as some of the graphemes that they've already previously learned in phase 3. So what I mean by that is, you can see here we have sweet and we have cream. They sound like exactly the same, and they sound like they should have the same sounding, but they don't. So they sound exactly the same, but they have different spelling. So they just get a little bit more complicated. But as they work their way through the different phases, it does come a lot more easier for them. And again, I've just got some activities that you can be doing at home with the children. Okay, now this is one of the things that I think is one of the most important ones as well. So tricky words. So as you can see, there is some tricky words for phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and phase 5. Your child needs to be able to read and write the tricky words, and they cannot be segmented and blended. So what we mean by that is, for example, the word said, you can't spit it up and sound it out. You have just got to know that word, and that's where it becomes quite difficult. So really, I think if you're going to do anything at home with your children, as well as reading and doing the phonics, is to be going over these tricky words with them and making sure that they are able to read and write with them. Okay, and I know that in our spelling, at the moment, we are focusing on our tricky words, okay? And these are words that are coming up every day within their writing. So the more that they know them, the more confident they become with their reading and their writing. And one of the things that I've suggested here to do is literally have some cards, write the words on, and stick them up around your house. So when you're walking around with your children, can they read that word? Okay, can they spell out to you? If they're in the car, can they tell you how to spell them? All these things will really help them. So, phonics screening check. This is something that every year 1 child does. Okay, so the phonics screening check is quick and it is easy, and it helps us as a school know where your child is. And this takes place in term 3. And how it works, there are 40 words for your child to read. Okay, as you can see here on the left, we have words as what we call real words. And on the right, we have words that we call pseudo words. Okay, and a pseudo word is a word that has the phonics sound in, but is not actually a real word. So for example, here we've got v, app, vap. So again, it has the phonics sounds in, but it is not a real word. And the reason for the phonics screening check is to know that your child knows the different sounds, okay? And that's why it is really important that we are segmenting and blending words, okay? Because we want them to know the sounds in those words. And also they will be reading some normal words as well with those sounds in. We tend to say when we do the screening check that the pseudo words, which are the not real words, are the alien names. So it's done very calmly. Your child will not know that they're in a test situation, an assessed situation, and all they will be asked to do is to read those words. You don't actually find out the pass rate until after the child has done the test, but previously I know it has been around 32 out of 40, but that may change. So it's just really important that we continue to play games with those sounds in that are not in real words. And a really good website is Phonics Play, and they have a game online which is called Buried Treasure. And Buried Treasure is all about the children reading those words which are not real words, but they have the sounds in. From the past phonics screening checks, a lot of the sounds have been those phase 3 sounds. So again, that is why it's still really important that yes, your child has finished phase 3, that you continue to go over them. Okay, this is another really big one, and we've been talking a lot about reading in school and how we want the children to be reading for pleasure, okay? And I've just got a little quote here, and it says, once decoding has been mastered, research evidence highlights the importance of fluency and comprehension for children to be proficient readers. A growing number of studies show that promoting reading for pleasure can have a major impact on children and adults in their future. So it's all about the children enjoying reading and that we want them to want to read. And picking up a book and being able to read it is fantastic, but we also want the children to be able to talk about what they have read. So can they answer questions about a book that they have just read? Can they talk about the characters? Can they make predictions about what is coming up next in the story? Or before they begin to read, can they talk about what they think is going to happen in the story? All of that discussion about a book is fantastic, and it will help not only with their reading skills, but also their oracy and their speaking and listening. So it is really important that you are reading regular with the children, but also allowing them to enjoy the books that they are reading. Okay, and it's just said that by the end of year 1, we really want the children to be reading more fluently. So again, I've just put a few activities that you could be doing at home with the children. You could be creating books at home, you could be going on word hunts, and you could be hiding words around the house or in the garden or on the balcony and asking the children to go and find those words. Can they come back and read the words that they found? Can they sort the words? So can you have different words with the sh sound in? Can you have different words with the qu sound in, the a sound? Can they put them in the right groups? Also, can you make up a sentence with your children, cut it up and hide it? Can the children then find the different parts of their sentence and put them back together? So I'm not going to go through everything now. I will send it out for you, and you can see there's lots of different activities that you could be doing at home with your child. One of the biggest things for me as well is that can you read every night with your child, even if it's for 5 to 10 minutes? I'm not saying sit there and read a whole book with your child, even if it is just literally one page a night. Or even if they don't want to read their book, can you say, okay, let's go through our high frequency words. Let's spend 5 minutes doing them. It is so important. Or again, if your child is, I'm really tired, I know what it's like. I know when you get home, it is so tired and they don't want to do any reading. Can you just have a picture up and can they talk to you about what they can see in that picture? That always helps their reading as well. So a nice colourful picture and with different things going on. Can they talk about what they can see, what they think is happening in that picture? Yes, they're not reading words, but they are using that comprehension skills. And at the end here, I have just put some different phonics websites for you that you can have a look at. The Phonics Play was the one that I was talking about, the buried treasure, and about segmenting and blending words with the sounds in that aren't real. Epic Phonics and Oxford Reading Owl, they have so many lovely books. As I know now, it is much more difficult to be changing the children's reading books that often, that sometimes you are getting through your reading books every couple of days. So those websites are really good. They have a lot of books on there as well. And also, if you do finish your book after 2 days, go and see if you can do an activity with your child for that book. So can they maybe retell the story by writing a story map? Can they draw a character and describe a character from their story? What I will also do is I'll send out some comprehension activities that you can do with your child at home when you've read a book. And then we've got Letters and Sounds, which is a fab website. It's got all the phonics sounds for each phase on there, which is easily accessible. It's also got all the high frequency words and tricky words on there. And also, for example, the phase 3 or phase 5 sounds, it's got them within words. So it's got so much on that website. It is great. And I think that is it. So thank you so much for listening. I will just, I hope that was all right. And if you have any questions, just let me know.
Hey, Miss Zoe, thank you for that.
No problem.
You see me?
I can see you now, yeah.
Just to re-emphasize, thank you so much for coming on. And as I said earlier on, I do recognize that for the vast majority, if not all of our parents, phonics will be something that's very unfamiliar for them. I know that when I first came to the school 8 years ago, having moved from secondary teaching, that phonics literally blew my mind, as it wasn't something that I remembered learning when I was a child. I used to learn the words by sight, and I know that for some of the tricky words we still do that, but it is so important that they can decode the words, and then adding in the vocabulary understanding as well. I think it's a combination of both of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think if parents are unsure of the sounds, because like you've just said, if you don't know the sounds, it is hard to be able to say them. If you just put in YouTube the sound, there's so many videos on there that will show you how to say that sound.
Yeah, absolutely. YouTube is a great resource for that, as well as some of the ones that you shared with us. I think we do have a question for you. So if you can see the screen, we've got, well, thank you for doing an awesome job. So when you speak about using the phonics sounds to write out words or sentences, so for example, the spelling of rain, R-A-I-N, what if the child spells it phonetically? Is there any advice you would give of that?
Yeah, I'd say phonetically is absolutely fine because they are trying. I think it's more when we've done those sounds already that we really want to then be showing them how it is then spelt correctly. So what I would suggest is show them and just explain to them that it's fine, that they've tried to do it that way, but just show them, well, this is the sound that's in that word. And then hopefully as they progress, next time they spell that word, they will be thinking about that sound. Or again, if they're then writing another sentence with that word in, you could say, think about that sound that we've just talked about that's in that word, rain.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to say, that learning English is very difficult. I think for us who are native speakers of English, we don't necessarily consider how difficult it is, but English is the least phonetic language in the world, and there are all these letters that we know, A, B, C, and D, but we never actually use their letter names. The phonics do not match. We've got all of these different phonic sounds that we're learning, so children do find it very difficult to both be able to read and write using English, and it's very difficult sometimes for parents, especially our native English parents, to understand how difficult it is. And that's why English schools start the tuition of English reading and writing so early. And I know different languages like Serbian and Polish, where it's almost a one-to-one correspondence of phonetics, they can start teaching a lot later. And some parents often say, why do we do phonics in FS1 and FS2? And it's because there is so much to get through to get that secure understanding. I have a question here from Emre for you, Miss Zoe. So we do recognise we do have a lot of non-native English-speaking parents. Can we have the sounds that they're learning each week so they can support properly?
Yeah, this is something I can add on to the homework for you. So I can pop it onto one of the slides on Seesaw and just say, this week we've been going over these sounds. That's not a problem. What I will also do is I will put up the phase 3, phase 4 and phase 5 sound mats for you onto Seesaw so that you've got a copy of them just going forward. That's no problem.
That's great. And thanks to all of the parents that have come to watch this webinar today and those that have raised some questions. We are so appreciative of your support, and your child's learning isn't something that's solely responsible for the school or solely responsible for parents. It is about a combination of our efforts, and the efforts that we put in within the school buildings are supported by your efforts. And even if and we recognise that parents are particularly busy, especially in these new days, that you coming home probably later from work than you would have done before, and far more tired than you would have done before. But we do appreciate the little efforts that you can put in to support our language acquisition and reading skills by supporting the reading and phonics. Is there anything else you'd like to close off by saying, Miss Zoe?
No, I think that's going back to what you said before, when it gets harder when they do go on to phase 5, because the sounds do sound the same as the phase 3, but they are spelled different. And I think that's when it gets a little bit harder. So if the children are spelling things wrong, it's not that they're doing it wrong. They are doing it wrong, but there's nothing bad with that. It's just because they are learning even more new sounds to go with what they've already previously been taught.
I know. I looked at an example earlier on actually of OUGH, which can be thorough, rough, borough, all of those different. I think there are 7 different ways that sound can be represented by those letters. So it is very challenging, especially when they get into year 2, phase 5.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Zoe. I'm glad that we've had you on. I know you often do these sort of things for our BSME conferences, so we're honoured to have you presenting for us in a small context. But thank you very much for your efforts this afternoon. Thank you to the parents that have come to watch as well. If you do want to watch it back, it will be available on YouTube, and if you want to share that as well with any of your friends who it may be of interest to you. So thank you very much. That's goodbye from me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.